सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। For the Jivanmukta, the three types of karma, sanchita, prarabdha and agami, are not there. For the Jivanmukta, the three types of karma are not there. That is the main point, base of the entire discussion that is going on. Okay? Sometimes it will be said that it is there, but he is not affected by it. Sometimes it will be said that it will not go away, it will continue. But still, the main point that we have to understand is, for the Jivanmukta, there are no karmas. The result of action is not for Jivanmukta. Now, to explain this point, this basic point, Shankaracharya ji brought some concepts which we saw in the last session. First, he said that Brahmajnana and samsara cannot coexist. So, if the Jivanmukta is a Brahmajnani, then there is no samsara for him. And if there is samsara for him, then he has not realized Brahman. And Brahma Sakshatkara has not happened. Brahmajnana has not happened. Now, even if you say that because of the force of prarabdha or prachina vasana vegat, because of the force of the vasanas, if you say that there is samsara for this Jivanmukta, that is also not right. Why? Because vasanas may be there, but they will lose their power. They will lose their power because of the knowledge of oneness that this Jivanmukta has got. Sadekatva vijnanat mandi bhavati vasana. Vasana mandi bhavati. It becomes dull, it becomes weak. And therefore, for the Jivanmukta who is experiencing that oneness, there is no force of vasanas. Like what? Gave example also. Even if a lusty person is there, extremely lusty person, in his mother, he gives up all such desires. All those desires of lust which are there for all others are not there when the mother he is thinking about. In the same way, when that knowledge of Brahman is there with this Jivanmukta, how the samsaras and the desires of samsara will remain? They will not remain. Till what samsara is there. Only till nididhyasana stage the sadhaka will have samsara. Why? Because only till nididhyasana stage that sadhaka can experience sorrow, joy and sorrow, which are result of his prarabdha. So prarabdha has got impact only till the stage of nididhyasana. Once the person goes to nirvikalpa samadhi and then gets established in the knowledge, experiences, there is no prarabdha that can affect this person. Right? And also we need to understand why this is so. Because the sukha dukkha is result of punya papa, which is result of previous action. Now since this jivan mukta has not performed any action, there is no result for him. Nishkriyaha nahi kutrachita. Without the action, the result is not possible. So since the jivan mukta has not performed the action, he doesn't have to go through the result. So only till the stage of nididhyasana, a person will have sukha dukkha. Only till that stage there will be samsara. Only till that stage there will be vasana vega, the force of vasanas. Only till that stage there will be prarabdha. Once a seeker crosses that stage of nididhyasana, bhumika number 4, 5, 6 onward, 4, 5, 6, there is no samsara, there is no prarabdha. Means what? Even if it is there, it does not have any force. That's what it means. Right? Now, after establishing this foundation for our further knowledge, now Shankaracharya takes up each karma for discussion. Okay, so first he takes sanchita karma for discussion. And he says, Aham Brahmeti Vijnanat, 448, we have seen in the last session. Aham Brahmeti Vijnanat, Kalpa Koti Shatarjitam Sanchitam Vilayam Yati. Aham Brahma iti Vijnanat. By realizing that I am Brahman, Kalpa Koti Shatarjitam Sanchitam. The Sanchita karma which is collected over 100 crore cycles of creation. Not 100 crore births, but cycles of creation, whatever we have collected so far, from time immemorial, anadikala, till now, till the last janma, whatever we have collected, the entire sanchita, vilayam yati, it gets dissolved. Gets dissolved. Like what? Beautiful example, prabodhat swapna karmavat. Like the actions in the dream are dissolved when you get up. That example is further explained in the next verse, 449. Yatkritam swapna velaya. That which is performed at the time of dream. Punyam va papa mulbanam. Whether lots of punya karmas you have done in the swapna, in the dream, or papa karmas. Suptothitasya kim tatsyat. For the person who has woken up, none of that matters. Why? Swargaya narakayava. The actions of the dream cannot give you result in the waking. In the same way, the actions of the waking are not applicable to the person who is realized and who is woken up to the fourth stage, the turiya avastha. When a person is awakened to that state of consciousness, the actions of the waking are not applicable. They get dissolved. Just as you cannot be punished for the crimes that you have performed in the dream, nor can you be celebrated or conferred with some award for some action that you have performed in the dream. In the same way, whatever we have performed in the waking, whether it is punya karma or papa karma, doesn't apply to the jnani who has woken up to the state of realization. In that higher state of consciousness, karmas of the waking do not apply. They get dissolved. In other words, sanchita karma is destroyed at the very moment of realization. At the very moment of realization, sanchita is gone. Alright? Okay. Now next one. What? Agami karma. But Vedji, sanchita prarabdha agami? Yes. But prarabdha karma needs some explanation. So Shankaracharya will take it up little later after 2 verses. Now he is explaining agami karma. Agami karma, remember agami karma? Agami karma means, for ajñānis, agami karma is what? Since our birth till now, whatever actions we have performed, their results. From now till death, what actions we are going to perform and their results. The results that have not yet come, but will come either in this life, in future, or in future embodiments. All that is agami karma for ajñāni. For the jnani, the point of reference is not the point of birth or the present moment. The point of reference is moment of realization. So for the jnani, agami karma is what? The actions performed by the upadhis of the jnani after the moment of realization and their results. Please understand. Agami karma means actions or results that will come in future. Now future for us is according to our present moment, isn't it? We say whatever will come in future. And agami karma includes whatever we did from the moment of birth. But for jnani, in the case of jnani, this point of reference for agami karma is not birth or the present moment. It is the moment of realization. So after the moment of realizations, whatever actions are performed by the upadhis of the jnani and the results that will come to the upadhis of the jnani, what happens to this agami karma? That is what Shankaracharya is explaining now. Verse number 450. Let us read. Svamasaṅgamudāsīnaṃ parijñāya nabho yathā naśyati ca yatkiṃcitkadācidbhāvikarmabhiḥ svamasaṅgamudāsīnaṃ parijñāya nabho yathā naśyati ca yatkiṃcitkadācidbhāvikarmabhiḥ. What is he saying? Svam asangam udāsīnaṃ parijñāya. Parijñāya, realizing. Jñāya, jñātvā, knowing. Parijñāya, having realized, having known from all sides, means having realized. Svam asangam, having realized oneself to be unattached. Udāsīnaṃ, and indifferent. Having realized that I am the self who has no contact with the upadhis and therefore the karmas of upadhis or the qualities of upadhis have no connection with me. Having realized this, bhavikarmabhiḥ śliṣyati. Bhavikarmabhiḥ, by the actions, by the karmas which will come in future. Agami karma is bhavi karma. Bhavi means which will come in future. Bhavikarmabhiḥ, by the agami karma, śliṣyati, the person is not touched. Jnani is not touched by agami karma. Yatkiṃcit, even a wee bit, he is not touched. Kadācit, kadācit, at any point of time also he is not touched. Means what? Even a wee bit of agami karma cannot touch this jnani even for a moment. Kinchitapi, kadācitapi. Even a wee bit of agami karma cannot touch at any point of time. Right? What is the example? Yathā nabho, just as space. Now this example will be explained in the next verse. We'll keep the example like that. What is the point that he is saying? Having realized that I am the self who has no contact with upadhis, I am untouched, indifferent self, the jnani remains totally unaffected by the actions that are performed by the upadhis and by the results that come back to upadhis. He remains detached completely. Okay, in Tattvabodha, Bhagavan Shankaracharya explains this point by saying, Agami karma api jnanena naśyati. Little bit more points are there which we will see after the next verse. But the point here is what? For the jnani, agami karma also is not there. Why? Because he remains untouched by the actions that are performed or by the results that accrue to the upadhis. He remains untouched, indifferent. There is also pathabheda, śliṣyati cha yatkiṃcit. Instead of that, somewhere you may also see śliṣyate yatiṃcitkadācidbhāvikarmabhiḥ. Yatihi, this jnani, kiñcit api śliṣyati. Doesn't get touched even a wee bit, kadācidcha. Not even at any moment. Bhāvikarmabhiḥ, by the agami karma. Okay, now, what is now yathā nabho? Just a space. That example has to be explained in the next verse. Let us read. Verse number 451. Nabho ghaṭayogena surāgandhena lipyate tathātmopādhiyogena taddharmairnaiva lipyate. Nabho ghaṭayogena surāgandhena lipyate tathātmopādhiyogena taddharmairnaiva lipyate. Nabho ghaṭayogena surāgandhena na lipyate. Beautiful example. Okay. Imagine that there is a pot, ghata. Inside the pot there is liquor, bad smelling, ugly smelling liquor, sura. Okay. Now what is the example? Shankaracharya says, sometimes the pot, because it is in association with the sometimes the space which is in association with the pot, sometimes we consider it to be pot space. This point we have seen many times, upadhi, avachedavada. It is not actually, the space is not getting conditioned by a pot, but sometimes because of association we say that it is a pot space. So there is a space inside the pot, that's what we feel, which is different from the space outside. But what is he saying? Now that pot space, the space which is inside the pot, is not even touched by the gandha, smell of the sura, liquor. Na lipyate, it is not tainted, it is not touched by the smell of the liquor. Though you say that the space is in pot, liquor is also in pot, but that space is not touched by the smell of the liquor. Tathā, in the same way, Atma, the self, Upādhiyogena, in association with Upadhis, taddharmairnaiva lipyate, is never touched, tainted by their qualities or actions. Qualities and actions of what? Qualities and actions of Upadhis. We may say that the self is in association with Upadhi, but he is not touched by the Upadhi or their qualities or their actions. He remains untouched. Veji, yeah, so, but this is some point that we have already studied, that the self remains untouched. Yes, and the jnani is the self. Therefore, jnani also remains untouched. That is the point. In Atmabodha also, if you remember, series of verses are there to explain this point. That the qualities and functions of the upadhis are wrongly superimposed on the self. Different examples Shankaracharya gives. One example he gives is dhāvanniva yathā shashi. That when the clouds are moving in one direction, we feel that the moon which is behind it is moving in another direction. It is the movement of the clouds which is wrongly superimposed on the movement on the sun, on the moon, as though the moon is moving. So the functions are not superimposed. Another example in the Atmabodha itself is the crystal which is in contact with some cloth. The blueness of the cloth is superimposed on the crystal. Actually, the crystal has not become blue. Right? Though it appears that the self or the jnani is in contact with the upadhis, he is not in touch or not tainted by the upadhis or their qualities or their actions. Therefore, after realization, the upadhis may continue to act, may continue to go through the results of those actions. Jnani has no contact with them. This is the point that is being explained now. So, there is no agami karma for the jivan mukta. I was mentioning in Tattvabodha, Bhagavan says, Shankaracharya says, agami karma api jnanena naśyati. Kincha agami karmanam nalini dalagata jalavata jnaninam sambandho nasti. He says agami karma also gets destroyed at the moment of realization. But even when the upadhis are continuing to act and going through the result, jnaninam sambandha nasti. Jnani is not connected with it. Like what? Nalini dalagata jalavat. Brilliance of Shankaracharya. What is he saying? Nalini. Nalini means lotus. Dala, lotus petal or lotus leaf. Gata, that which is gone. Jala, water. Vat, like the water drop on top of a lotus leaf. You must have seen, now is the season, monsoon season is going on. You must have seen in the lotus, raindrops fall and they just go away. The lotus leaf or the lotus petal doesn't even get wet. In the same way, actions come to the upadhis, the results come to the upadhis and go away. The jnani is not even touched by those actions. See, in Bhajagovindam, Shankaracharya uses the same example for some other topic. He says, Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam tadvat jivitam atishaya chapalam. There he says how the droplet, water drop fallen on the lotus leaf just falls off. Like that, our life is extremely uncertain. At any moment it will fall off. That is a different example for a different point. I mean, same example but for a different point. Here the example is used for what? To show that how that lotus leaf remaining in water remains untouched by the water. In the same way, jnani appears to be remaining in the upadhis but remains untouched by upadhis, their functions and their activities, their functions and their qualities. Okay. Now somebody says, Vedji, this is not right. Okay, what is not right? You see, you need to think little bit more. Okay, explain. See, Jivan Mukta got realization at a particular moment. Correct. Now, before that moment, that Jivan Mukta has performed some activities in this life. Yes or no? From birth till the moment of realization. For some of the actions, results have already come. So there is no point to discuss that. But there are some actions, the results has not yet come, which will come in future. Either in this life or in next life for ajnanis. For jnanis, there is no next life. So it will come here, whatever has to come. Also, after moment of realization, he is performing actions, which will also create result, which should create results. Yes or no? Point is right. Action is performed, the result should be there. What happens to that? Jnani is unaffected by it, that is okay. Shankaracharya explains in Tattvabodha itself this point very beautifully. He says, you see, after moment of realization, the upadhis of the jnani may continue to act. And when there is action, action can be punya or papa. Not that the jivanmukta will perform wrong actions, no. But by the upadhis, some mistake can happen. For example, the jivanmukta is walking and some insect is there under the feet. He doesn't realize and he kills. By mistake. If we have to live life, papa karma is going to happen. Though we don't intend to do it. Why? That's how life is. So the upadhis of the jivanmukta mostly will perform good actions only. But sometimes bad actions also might be performed by the upadhis. What happens to that? Shankaracharya says, Kincha, further, ye jñāninam stuvanti, bhajanti, archayanti, tan prati, jñāni kritam agami punyam gacchati. He says, the good actions that are performed by the upadhis of the jnani, the results of it, which is punya, goes to those people who praise this jnani, who serve this jnani, who worship this jnani. So the punya goes to the devotees. Ye jñāninam nindanti, dvishanti, dukkha pradhanam kurvanti, tan prati jnani kritam sarvamagami kriyamanam yad avachyam karma papatmakam tad gacchati. And those people who trouble the jnani, who criticize that jnani, who hate that jnani, towards them the papa karma goes. Papa karma, by mistake whatever papa has happened from the upadhi, that papa will go to such people. Be extremely careful. Why? We don't know who is jnani, who is not a jnani. So be careful and make sure that we are not troubling anybody. Why? Because suppose we do that and that person is jnani, he is by mistake, whatever papa is performed will come to us. We have seen so many times in the history also that there are always people who will trouble jnanis. Isn't it? So many times we have seen. They just criticize for no reason. So many stories, etc. we see. Okay, so the punya goes to devotees and papa goes to those people who criticize. Now somebody will say, what is this, Vedji? Are, again it is the result of your own action. You become devotee, you will get punya. It is based on your actions only. Don't think that somebody's karma is coming to you. No. It is you becoming devotee is fetching that karma. That's why Gurudev always used to say in Sandipani, where the 2 years residential Vedanta course happens, no? He used to say the air that you breathe in Sandipani is Sri Swami Tapovanji's grace. The air that you breathe. Why? Because that has got some different ambience altogether. You stay there, you focused, you study. How come you get so much of strength to do all that? That is by their grace. Their sadhana bala is coming to us as grace. Why? Because we have dedicated our life to the study of Vedanta. We have dedicated our life to the path which is shown by those great Mahatmas. And therefore, the grace and blessings of those great Mahatmas come to us. This is the birthplace of Bhagavan Shri Adi Shankaracharya. It is always said that only those people whom he calls, they come here. Means what? This ambience to experience also his grace is required. It is his house, his mother's house. Everybody cannot come. That is how it is. So agami karma, jnani remains untouched. He doesn't even know probably good actions are happening by his upadhis or bad actions are happening. But those actions happen and the results go to the devotees and the people who criticize. Okay, beautiful point. Beautiful point. And that's why we should always serve great Mahatmas. Why we get so much of strength by doing it? Because of this factor. Earlier also, in the beginning of the Vivekachoodamani, when the student approaches the teacher, student says also, no, your kataksha also is sufficient. I'll hold on to it and I will cross over this ocean of samsara. Isn't it? Brahmananda rasanubhuti kalitaihi putai sushitaihi yutaihi yushmatva kalashojjitaihi shruti sukaihi. Aha. That is the point. Okay, so sanchita karma gets destroyed. Example given was what? That the actions of the dream do not affect the waker. Agami karma, the jnani remains untouched. Like what? Like the space that remains untouched by the smell of the liquor in the pot. The pot space. Okay, both examples are also clear. Now let us move to the next one, prarabdha karma. Now this prarabdha karma for the Jivanmukta concept is going to go from 452 to 464. I told you a lot of explanation is there. Let us read. What is it saying first? Verse number 452. Jñānodayātpurārabdhaṃ karmajñānānna naśyati adatvā svaphalaṃ lakṣyam uddisyotsṛṣṭabāṇavat. jñānodayātpurārabdhaṃ karmajñānānna naśyati adatvā svaphalaṃ lakṣyam uddisyotsṛṣṭabāṇavat. Perfect example and perfect explanation. What is he saying? Jnana udayat pura arabdham karma. Karma action, arabdham, which has begun jnanodayat pura, before the dawn of the knowledge. So before realization, the action which has already started giving its result. Prarabdha, the word itself we saw, prakarshena arabdham, that which has already begun. So the actions which have already, action means here means result of action. Result of action which is already in motion, which is born or which is in motion, which has begun even before the dawn of knowledge. Jnanat na naśyati. It does not get destroyed by knowledge. What do you mean? Adatvā svaphalam, without giving its result. So you put a comma after svaphalam. So what is he saying here? Jñānodayāt pura ārabdham karma svaphalam adatvā jñānāt na naśyati. So prarabdha karma which has started, which is already in motion, which has already begun even before the dawn of knowledge, will only end by giving result. It will not end because of knowledge. Okay? Jnānāt na naśyati, does not get destroyed by knowledge. Svaphalam adatvā, without giving its fruit, without giving its result. So it will end only by giving its result. Why? Because it has already begun. Something which is already in the motion cannot be stopped just like that. Why? Newton is responsible for this. Why Newton is responsible? Newton's first law of motion says every object remains in the state of motion unless until acted upon by an external unbalanced force. Inertia, law of inertia. If something is in motion, it will continue to remain in motion unless some force is applied after, from outside. From internal, whatever you do, it will not. Right? So, prarabdha karma will not get destroyed by knowledge. It will destroy itself only after exhaustion, only after giving its result. Beautiful example to explain this. Lakṣyamuddishya, laksha means target, goal. Uddishya, keeping in mind. Okay. Keeping in mind the target, śliṣyati, the arrow, like the arrow, śliṣyati, which is released, keeping a target in the mind. What is this? As he has done in the previous two, he will further explain the example in the next verse. Let us read that also, then we will understand. Verse 453. Vyāghrabuddhyā vinirmuktah bāṇaḥ paścāttu gomatau na tiṣṭhati chinatyeva lakṣyam vegena nirbharam vyāghrabuddhyā vinirmuktah bāṇaḥ paścāttu gomatau na tiṣṭhati chinatyeva lakṣyam vegena nirbharam. Beautiful. What? See, there is a hunter. He has got bow and arrow with him. Far, he looks at one animal. Okay. He thinks that it is a tiger, vyāghrabuddhyā, and releases the arrow. Now, the moment the arrow is released, he realizes that it is not tiger, it is a cow. Thinking it to be a tiger, the arrow which is released will not stop just because you have got the knowledge that it is not a tiger but it is cow. By this knowledge, the arrow will not stop. When will it stop? Only after hitting the target it will stop. That is what is said here. You see, vyāghrabuddhyā, with the thought that it is a tiger, vinirmuktah bāṇaḥ, the arrow which is released. Paścāt, later on, gomatau, considering or understanding that it is a cow, na tiṣṭhati, it does not stop. Chinatyeva lakṣyam, it will break, it will pierce the target. Vegena, with all its force, nirbharam, it is not under your control now. You release the arrow thinking that it is a tiger. After releasing, you realize it is not a tiger, it is a cow. What do you mean? Cow is not supposed to be killed. Cow is a sattvic animal. Tiger can be killed, but not the cow. So now what? Now it is not a tiger, it is a cow. So what? Whatever you may do, it will not stop. Okay? In normal life, it will not stop. Don't bring cartoon characters in this, okay? In cartoon, etc., it happens, no? He shoots one thing also and then suddenly realizes and runs faster and then stops. Either cartoon or Rajnikant movie. These two things you keep aside for some time, okay? In normal life, once the arrow is released, it will only stop after hitting the target. In the same way, prarabdha which has already begun, in between you realized Brahman, prarabdha will not stop. It will stop after giving its result. Another example that we generally give is that of a fan. The fan which is in motion, you switch off the fan doesn't stop immediately. It will stop only after its inertia is regained. Only after it comes back to its... Why? Because it is in motion. It will remain in motion unless that friction of the air, etc., stops the fan. In the same way, prarabdha which has already started will not stop by knowledge. It will stop only after giving its result. Is this clear? So what happens to the three karmas of a jnani? Sanchita karma gets dissolved. Example, what was the example given? The dream actions have no impact on the waker. The dream actions get dissolved when you wake up. Second, agami karma, what happens? The jnani remains unaffected by it. Like what? Like the pot space which is not touched by the smell of the liquor. And number three, prarabdha karma will not end by knowledge. It will continue to be there and it will exhaust only after giving its result. Like what? Like the arrow which is shot considering it to be the tiger. Even after gaining the knowledge that it is not tiger but a cow, the arrow will not stop. The arrow will stop only by hitting the target. So, Vedji, as I understand, Sanchita karma is not there for jnani. Agreed. Agami karma is there, but he is not affected by it. Okay, fine. But prarabdha karma is there. You just now said prarabdha karma will not end by jnana. See the next verse. Beautiful verse. Shankaracharya changes the meter, explains everything in one verse. 454. Prarabdham balavattaram khalu vidam bhogena tasya kshayah samyak jnana hutāshanena vilayah praksāñcitagaminam brahmātmaikyamavekṣya tanmayataya ye sarvada samsthitaah tesham tattritayam nahi kvachidapi brahmaiva te nirgunam. Prarabdham balavattaram khalu vidam bhogena tasya kshayah samyak jnana hutāshanena vilayah praksāñcitagaminam brahmātmaikyamavekṣya tanmayataya ye sarvada samsthitaah tesham tattritayam nahi kvachidapi brahmaiva te nirgunam. Prarabdham balavattaram khalu vidam. Vidam, even for the knowers, wise people, realized people, even for the jnani, even for the jivan mukta, prarabdham balavattaram khalu. Don't you know that the prarabdha is indeed khalu? Balavattaram is extremely powerful. Even for the jnani, prarabdha is powerful. What do you mean it is powerful? Bhogena tasya kshayah. That it will get exhausted only by experience. Only by going through it, it will get exhausted. Not by knowledge. That's why it is called very powerful. See, don't think that it is powerful, more powerful than Sanchita. Not that way. Sanchita is much more. Stronger also. Prarabdha is powerful because it is already in motion. That is why it is powerful. Sanchita is not in motion. Agami has not yet happened. But prarabdha has already started. Therefore, it is powerful. Even for the jnanis. What do you mean even for the jnanis? For those jnanis who are in the bhumika 4, 5, 6. Remember the sapta bhumikas? First 3 bhumikas are for the sadhaka. Then brahmavid, brahmavidvara, brahmavidvariyan. Bhumika number 4, 5, 6. For these three jnanis also, prarabdha is powerful. Veji, what about the seventh bhumika? There is no prarabdha. Why? He never comes back to the world. Remains in that samadhi we have seen. So there is no prarabdha for the sapta bhumika jnani. For the seventh bhumika jnani. But for the jnani of 4, 5, 6 bhumikas, prarabdha is balavat. Prarabdha is powerful. What do you mean? See, even for ajnanis, prarabdha is powerful. Veji? Even for jnanis, powerful. What to say about ajnanis? It is much more powerful. Actually, prarabdha is of 3 levels. The level of intensity of the prarabdha is 3 levels. What is that? Manda prarabdha, madhyama prarabdha and tivra prarabdha. Manda prarabdha means very little, not very powerful, which can be overpowered by little self-effort, purusha prayatna. Madhyama prarabdha, which is little more powerful, and therefore more efforts are required to overcome it. But there is something called as tivra prarabdha. How much ever you put efforts, you cannot overcome. What you have to do? You have to go through it. Even in our life, all kinds of prarabdhas are there. Some manda prarabdha, some obstacles will be there little bit, you put efforts and you can overcome. Some will be there which are little stronger obstacles, more effort is required. Sometimes even more time is required. But there is something called as tivra prarabdha, in front of which the ajnani can do nothing. For that matter, even jnani can do nothing. Means what? It will come. It will happen. How much ever you try, you cannot avoid it, you cannot overcome it. This is a very, very important concept, because many times we look at a person who has got so much of knowledge committing a mistake. And we keep on thinking, why did he do this? Why? Please understand, prarabdha works in a very, very, very different way. Sometimes tivra prarabdha will be there, the person cannot do anything. The result of his or her own action, past actions. You can't blame also anybody. But sometimes it is tivra prarabdha over which we have no control. The only thing that we can do is go through it. Prarabdham balavattaram khalu vidam bhogena tasya kshayah. But samyajnana hutashanena vilayah prak sanchita agaminam. Prak sanchita, earlier karma which is sanchita karma, agaminam, the future karma which is agami karma, for both of them, samyajnana hutashanena vilayah. But both these vilayah, they get dissolved by what? Samyajnana hutashanena, by the fire of knowledge, both sanchita and agami are burnt. What he's actually saying is, though the sanchita and agami karma are burnt by the fire of knowledge of the self, prarabdha karma is still very powerful. And therefore, it will exhaust by giving its result. There is no other way. Prarabdha karmanam bhogadeva kshayah iti tattvabodha. Prarabdha karma will get over only by exhaustion, only by giving the result. But, this but only I don't like. But that but is only more important. What is this? Brahma atmaikyam aveksha. Having realized the oneness between Brahman and Atman, tanmayataya, being one with it, being united with that knowledge, ye sarvada samsthitaha, those who ever remain established in that Brahma sakshatkara, tesham, for them, tat tritayam, those 3 things. What 3 things? Sanchita, agami and prarabdha. Nahi kvachidapi. are not there even a wee bit. Why? Brahmaivate nirgunam te, because those people are sakshat nirguna Brahma. What prarabdha karma will be there for nirguna Brahma? You please explain to me. Yes, agreed that prarabdha karma will not be destroyed by knowledge. Agreed that prarabdha karma is very powerful. Agreed that prarabdha karma will get exhausted only after giving its result. But for Brahman, where is the concept of prarabdha karma? And these jnanis are sakshat Brahma. Where will be prarabdha karma for jnani? Now, Vedji, you are confusing. Tell me yes or no. Is there prarabdha for jnani or no? Yes or no? Depends on the standpoint. Arre Rama. Again you brought standpoint. Yes. From the standpoint of ajnanis, there is prarabdha for jnani. Means what? From our standpoint, whatever we said is right. Prarabdha will not get destroyed by knowledge. Prarabdha will get exhausted only by giving its result. And prarabdha is very powerful. Everything is right from our standpoint of vyāvahārika satta. For the jivan mukta, for the jnani, who is on paramarthika satta, this all is not there. So in this verse, first line, he is explaining from the standpoint of vyāvahārika satta that sanchita karma and agami karma will get destroyed in the fire of knowledge. Prarabdha karma, being powerful, will not end like that without giving its result. But from the standpoint of jnani, all three karmas are not there. Go. Etat tritayam, tat tritayam nahi kvachidapi asti. Not even a wee bit. Any of the three karmas are there for the jnani, for the jivan mukta. This is very, very clear. Veji, yes. Can you explain that middle standpoint? Okay, for ajnani, for jnani. Can you explain little middle standpoint to understand? Yes, understand this. Sanchita prarabdha agami karma is for whom? Is for the jiva. Now for the jnani, jiva bhava has ended. So for the jnani, from the standpoint of jnani, there is no jiva bhava, therefore there is no connection with the three karmas. Therefore the three karmas are not there for the jnani. Correct? But upadhis of the jnani are still functioning. With what? With something called as badhita ahankara. Remember? Falsified ego. Jiva is proper ego. Strong identification with the body, mind, intellect, with the upadhis. But there is something called as badhita ahankara for the jnani, where it appears like ahankara, but it is not ahankara. Remember the example of burnt rope. The burnt rope looks like rope but doesn't have the strength of the rope. In the same way, the jnani with this badhita ahankara continues to go through prarabdha. But remember, it is badhita, so he has no connection with it. The upadhis may continue to go through prarabdha. Jnani will have no connection with it. We see so many Mahatmas who had so many physical ailments. They say Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had cancer, Raman Maharshi had ulcers, the body ulcer, cancer, etc. So many things were there. Isn't it? Why? Because that is the prarabdha of the body. Prarabdha has impact on the body, mind and intellect. That is it. Since the jnani has no connection with it, he is not having prarabdha. Actually speaking, even for us, prarabdha can only affect body, mind, intellect. But because we are identifying with that body, mind, intellect, we think that whatever is happening to body, mind, intellect is happening to me. That is what is happening. Even when we get a disease of the body, we say, I am not well. When mind is disturbed, I say, or mind is feeling the pain or sorrow, we say, I am in pain, I am sad. Why? Because this identification we are doing. Even for us, our body, mind, intellect alone is going through the prarabdha. Please know this. Jnani has cut that cord that connects, that identification cord is cut. Therefore, when the body, mind, intellect are going through prarabdha, Jnani has no contact with it, and therefore there is no prarabdha for Jnani. Is this clear? Imagine that there is a metal rod which is in touch with live wire. Now, because of the metal rod being in touch with live wire, there is electricity in that metal rod also. But suppose you wear a rubber glove and hold that metal rod, the metal rod will have electricity. You will not have that electricity. You will not get electrified. Why? Because rubber glove is there. In the same way, Jnani, because of that glove of Brahmatma Ikya Bodha, looks like he is still in touch with the upadhis who are going through prarabdha, but he does not take that prarabdha of the upadhis on himself. Why? Identification is not there. Why? Because of Brahmatma Ikya Bodha. So more and more we start disassociating with upadhis, lesser and lesser prarabdha will have impact on us. Even devotees who have given up that identification with upadhis, who say that my upadhis belong to God, they don't feel any pain. They don't feel any sorrow. Even when the upadhis are going through trouble, they say it's okay. That is their nature, they will go through. If sadhakas can dissociate little bit and can have less impact of prarabdha, imagine the jnani who has completely disassociated with the upadhis and therefore has zero impact of prarabdha. Okay, so please remember this point. It may look like that the prarabdha is there for the jnani, but from the standpoint of jnani, there is no prarabdha. So is it there or not there? From the standpoint of ajnani, it is there. Because of which his body, mind, intellect are working. How long will it continue? As long as it does not get exhausted by giving result. What happens after it is exhausted by giving result? Videha mukti. Next topic. We will take it in the next topic when it comes. Till that time, the body, mind, intellect will continue to function. According to prarabdha, it will continue to function. And remember, while going through the prarabdha, it may create new agami karma. But again, jnani has no contact with it. Jnani is not affected by it. That agami punya will go to devotees, agami papa will go to those people who criticize. Clear. Vedanta is the most logical thing. You will not see so much of logic. Vedji, okay, fine. Vedanta is logical, fine. But actually, I have not understood this karma concept completely. What do you mean you have not understood? No. I understood what is sanchita, what is prarabdha, what is agami. I understood it for ajnani also, and I understood for jnani also. Jnani, sanchita is dissolved. Yes, correct. At the moment of realization. Agami karma is after the moment of realization. Whatever happens, he has no contact with it. That's also okay. Prarabdha karma will not get destroyed by knowledge. It will continue. It will end only by exhaustion. That is also okay. But jnani being unidentified with the upadhis, when the upadhis are going through prarabdha, he has no contact with it. So there is no sanchita, agami or prarabdha for jnani. That also I understood. My question is, how are these sanchita, prarabdha, agami created? When I perform action, what gets created? What comes when? How to know this? We cannot know this. Why? Because karma gati is impossible to be predicted by us. Why? Because we have only instruments of body, mind and intellect to investigate. These are the only 3 instruments we have. But these 3 instruments themselves are created by prarabdha. Isn't it? Body is sthula sharira. Sthula sharira is created by prarabdha. From the 5 elements, but fashioned by prarabdha. Mind and intellect, sukshma sharira, created from tanmatras by prarabdha. Now prarabdha, which is cause for body, mind, intellect, how can body, mind, intellect know what is prarabdha? It cannot. Unless that prarabdha comes in our life as sukha dukkha, we cannot predict what my prarabdha is. Really, Vechi? Then what is this Jyotisha, etc.? That is a science of prediction. Jyotisha is a science of prediction. What do they say? By the birth, when the birth happened, in which place, to which parents, in which nakshatra, etc., they may be able to predict what may happen. Why? Because prarabdha gives indication. That indication, your birth itself is an indication that you have such kind of prarabdha. Otherwise, you would have been born in some other place at some other time. So, based on that, something that prarabdha has already given, one clue prarabdha has given to us by our birth. Based on that, we may, not we, those people who are well versed with it, with that science of astronomy, astrology, they may be able to predict. But again, it is prediction. It is not confirmed. They themselves say it is not confirmed. It's a science of prediction. But you can predict. Why? Because prarabdha has given one indication on the level of mind and intellect. So you can predict. But how can we understand total sanchita prarabdha agami? We cannot understand. Importantly, we don't have to understand. We have to just end it. Why to understand? When I have to fight with an army, I need not know each soldier and what is his name and what is his background, etc. I just have to kill. Oh, Vechi, what is this? You just have to kill. I am giving example. Not that we are in a position of army or fighting or killing, etc. I am just telling. Our job is not to find out what all sanchita prarabdha agami we have done. No. That is not our job. We cannot know and we need not know. We have to just end it. How? By realization. Why? Because for jnani, there is no sanchita, there is no agami, there is no prarabdha. Become realized, get out of all these things. Why human life? To come out of this karma bandha. To come out of this bondage of action. Now you understand what is karma bandha? This is actually the karma bandha. That sanchita, agami and prarabdha, all 3 become, what we say? Become subservient to you. They have no impact on you. They have no effect on you. That will happen by realization. Now this point, that from the vyāvahārika standpoint there is prarabdha for the jnani, but from the paramarthika standpoint there is no prarabdha for the jnani. This second paramarthika standpoint is further explained in next 4 verses, which we will take up in the next session. Shankaracharya wants to drill in this idea that for the jnani prarabdha is not there. It may look like there is prarabdha for the upadhis, but for the jnani prarabdha is not there. He will do that using the next 4 verses, which we will see in the next session. Okay? Beautiful explanation. 3 examples also you remember. For sanchita, he gave example of dream actions are not applicable to waker. For agami karma, he gave example of being unaffected, like the pot space which is unaffected by the smell of the liquor. And for prarabdha karma, he gave example of that arrow which is shot, thinking that it is a tiger. Later on, the knowledge that it is not a tiger but a cow will not stop the arrow. The knowledge cannot end the momentum of the arrow. Okay, arrow will stop only after hitting the target. In the same way, prarabdha, that which has already started, in between you realized, but it will not end by realization. It will end only after giving its result. However, for the jnani being unattached to the upadhis, there is no prarabdha for him. It may appear that it is still there for upadhis. He doesn't identify. That is the point. Okay. So, remaining things we will see in the next session. All right. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.